Cars.co.za.
Budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.
Over the last few years, Mazda has experienced something of a resurgence in South Africa. They seem to read where the market was going really well, and they've brought a bunch of excellent SUVs to South Africa, and they've really capitalized on this wave of interest in SUVs by South African motorists. So their business model is increasingly pivoting towards SUVs. They're leaving things like sedans behind. But for some reason, they still feel the need to create a leisure double cab Bakkie for certain markets, and our market is one of those places. Now, for many, many years, Mazda outsourced this problem to Ford. They took the Ford Ranger, they reskinned it with some Mazda styling, put a Mazda badge on the nose and on the steering wheel and on the tailgate, and they called it the BT-50. And this didn't really lead to the sales success they were hoping for. The Ranger outsold it, gosh, I don't know, 50-1, at least in the South African market. And so they got divorced from Ford. They went across the oceans looking for a partner. And in Japan, they found Isuzu. And so the latest Mazda BT-50 underneath the skin is an Isuzu D-Max. Now let's start with a real highlight of the new BT-50, and that is its drivetrain. Under the bonnet is a fully reworked 3-liter turbo diesel engine, of course sourced from Isuzu, and it is an absolute cracker of an engine. Even with quoted power outputs of 140 kilowatts and 450 Newton meters, the car feels even stronger and even faster than those numbers suggest. And indeed, in our big 6x6 Bakkie drag race, which we published on our YouTube channel last year, and you'll find a link to that in the description below, the Mazda came second only to the stupidly powerful V6 Amarok and embarrassed the rest of the competition, even though cars like the Ford Ranger quote larger power figures of 157 kilowatts, for instance. They all couldn't keep up with the Mazda BT-50. Now, usually with all of this power comes great fuel bills, but funnily enough, the Mazda BT-50, over the course of our extensive testing, where we took 6 Bakkies to the middle of South Africa, the middle of nowhere, for our big Bakkie shootout, the BT-50 actually returned the best average fuel consumption of the whole bunch of Bakkies, and was hovering around the 9 liters to 100 mark, which is really, really impressive for the way it performs. And so it's fitted with a 76 liter fuel tank, and that makes it good for a theoretical fuel tank range of 840 kilometers. So it seems, at least when it comes to the engine, that Mazda and of course Isuzu have really got this one right. In terms of payload, the Mazda is right up there with the best of them, with a payload capacity of 1,005 kilograms, which was actually the most of all 6 Bakkies that we tested. The tow rating is 3.5 tons with a braked trailer. So in terms of styling, Mazda have gone for a really sophisticated and elegant look with the new BT-50. I personally think it's actually the most elegant looking Bakkie on the market, and maybe some South Africans are looking for that, and so the new styling will be a treat for you. But what's good to know is that all of this new styling has not come at the cost of its 4x4 credentials. In fact, it has some of the best approach, departure, and breakover angles in the segment. Where it particularly shines is that approach angle. It's 30.4 degrees, which again is actually second best of all the Bakkies that we tested. There are 4 trim levels of the BT-50 on offer with 2 engines. There's a 1.9 TDI, which is available in both manual and automatic. Then there's a 3-liter dynamic trim, and then there's the top of the range individual auto, which is the one that we tested. But keep in mind that for serious off-roaders, only the top of the range model is available as standard with a diff lock and low range gearing. The BT-50 range starts at 621,000 Rand and goes all the way up to 806,000 Rand for the top spec individual auto. Now this is in line with the rest of the market. I mean, for instance, it significantly undercuts the top of the range Hilux, the Legend RS, which is now close to about 900,000 Rand. But the Hilux, for instance, is much better spec'd and offers things such as radar guided cruise control and an electric roller shutter with a couple of extra bits and pieces on the outside like a decorative roll hoop, which also make it look a little bit better than the BT-50. All Mazda BT-50s are sold with a 3-year unlimited kilometer warranty and a 3-year unlimited kilometer service plan. Now what's really nice when the service plan matches the warranty is that you don't have to fork out of your own pocket for services when your service plan runs out so that you can keep your warranty. So that's quite a nice inclusion from Mazda inside the price. Let's move on to the interior, and our biggest gripe with this car and the interior is that even at this lofty price point of over 800,000 Rand, cloth seats are fitted as standard. This is definitely not in line with the competition. So you have to pay extra for leather. It stings a little bit at 800,000 Rand. The rest of the interior is really well spec'd though. There's a big 9-inch touchscreen, and all of this is based on the architecture from the Isuzu D-Max, but there are a couple of nice touches here and there. Nice Mazda touches, for instance, such as the unique steering wheel. The connectivity on the screen is also quite decent. You've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, 2 USB ports as well. There's a reverse camera as standard on the individual model, and there's front and rear parking sensors, which I always find in a Bakkie is such a long vehicle. I find that a really, really nice feature to have. Keyless entry is standard on the top of the range, as well as push button start. And overall, the cabin does have a premium feel to it. The materials feel quite upmarket, and it's a lot more interesting to look at than the outgoing model. It also feels pretty well put together, but a real highlight for me in the cabin is how well insulated it is. Now, this is something that Bakkie makers sometimes cheap out on, but on the Mazda, it really seems like they've got this right. Even at highway speeds, there is very little road noise and very little wind noise coming into the cabin. It almost gives you this sort of SUV-like feeling when you're driving the BT-50, and that's pretty impressive. Now, the opposite of a highlight for us as testers was the very firm ride in the Mazda BT-50. Even on the best, smoothest tar, it does feel like the suspension is overly firm. It feels like the car is never really settled, especially when it's unloaded. Now, its saving grace was that on bad gravel roads, badly rutted gravel roads, the car actually did handle really well. It seems to fare better on gravel than it does on tar. But of course, for most people, especially those drivers buying an expensive leisure double cab, you're almost certainly going to do way more tar driving than gravel driving. And this is something that we feel Mazda really can improve on. Hopefully, it's a relatively simple fix which Mazda implements for our market soon. So overall, the Mazda BT-50 is a decent proposition in the current market. For those looking for a classy Bakkie, for instance. I mean, its marketing tagline was the BT-50 identifies as more than a Bakkie, which I thought was a little bit cheeky, but quite clever as well. So they're trying to say that this is going to give you an SUV-like experience with the added benefit of a load bay. And they've made huge improvements to the interior. And of course, as mentioned, the drivetrain in this car is among the best of the best on offer in South Africa right now. But for me and the rest of the Cars.co.za team, that firm ride might actually be a deal breaker when it comes to the BT-50. It's just a little too hard to live with, and that really is a big pity, unfortunately. Now, if you're interested in a BT-50, there are a couple of new demo and of course used models on Cars.co.za right now. There's over 150 to choose from as of this recording, and we'll put a link to our BT-50 stock in the description below. If you haven't seen the BT-50 competing against 5 of its rivals on a salt pan in the middle of nowhere in our big 6x6 Bakkie drag race, then you'll find a link to that in the description below. And there's also a massive Bakkie buyer's guide video. It's over 40 minutes long. It's basically a documentary, and that also features the Mazda BT-50. So tons of information on Cars.co.za as usual to help you make the best purchasing decision. Right, thanks very much for watching. I'm out of here. Be safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Toodaloo. Oh, this was cold. Do you like clothes? I do. This is available right now on our Sentimental shop. Just go to Cars.co.za/shop or look for the description in the link below. See what I did there? Just trying to catch you out. And we've got tons of exclusive merchandise which is designed and made exclusively for our store. I said exclusive twice because it's very exclusive. Also hats.
Budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.
Cars.co.za